but that was one exciting game down at Gillette Stadium. You've been calling Temple football games for a long time. Where does that rank among some of the craziest Temple football games that you called?
Well, yeah, in terms of finishes, I've never seen a game end like that with what happened with the block and then on the point after the run back for the 2 points, and then that sets you up for a game-winning field goal. It was a perfect storm for a team to be making a comeback in the last minute and a half of the football game. And Temple found a way to win, Zach, against a very, I think, underrated, very tough opponent. Who would have thought, when you looked at the first 3 games of the schedule, that Mass would have given Temple a much better effort than Penn State or Cincinnati?
No question about that, and sometimes, just good football teams need to find a way to win even when they don't play their best, and Coach Mark Whipple does a really good job with that UMass team. Blake Thornapple is a pro-style quarterback, but where the difference was in this game was special teams, and it's really been a big difference from last year to this year with the Temple Owls. Ed Foley and Elijah Robinson do deserve a lot of credit, but that final play, Hershey Walton got the push, Praise Martin Aguike made the block, Stephon Marshall picked up the football, pitched it to Will Hayes. I just never seen anything like that really to end a football game, and it gives a lot of credit to those 2 coaches that I just mentioned.
Absolutely. I was thinking about Ed Foley yesterday. Probably a lot of people don't even realize how much he's meant to this program, and he's been a survivor. And this year, special teams, look at the kicking game. Look what Austin Jones has done for this team. Perfect on field goals. 7 for 7. He's 9 for 9 on point after touchdowns. Zach, it's not that long ago. Granted, we have Brandon McManus, but I mean, right before Brandon and right after, the kicking game was really a disaster and cost Temple a lot of games. This year, and with Ed Foley in charge, boy, I'll tell you, hats off to him.
Austin Jones also has a lot of confidence, and last year he didn't have the best of years. I know he was successful in all of his extra points, but I think he was 13 out of 20 or 13 out of 21 last year. But he said going into that final kick, he knew it was going in the minute when he stepped on that field. What's been the biggest difference from last year to this year with Austin Jones?
Well, obviously, his consistency, I think his life is very noticeable. Somebody who has watched him in his last couple of years at Temple, this year it's much better. And you're right. I mean, that ball he kicked the other day up at UMass, probably if the goalpost was 5 feet wide, he would have made it. And the other thing, Whipple tried to ice him a little bit, call the timeout right before the snap. But we did get the snap and the placement in the kick on one that didn't count. But that was perfect. And I said to Paul Palmer at the time, that's got to give him a little boost of confidence. I mean, Paul's been around the block a little bit. He said, that's really not that key when coaches ice guys. A good kicker doesn't get impacted by, having a team call a timeout and try to ice him a little bit. And I think that's what we saw in Austin Jones. Boy, is it really nice to have a guy like him lining up and, teams trying to do everything they can to distract him or ice him or whatever, and him to deliver a game-winning field goal in that situation.
We're talking to the play-by-play voice of the Temple Owls on 97.5 The Fanatic, and that is Harry Donahue. Let's get to the quarterback in P.J. Walker. It's been a bumpy ride for him ever since he's got here at Temple. He had that really good freshman year. Last year didn't have the pieces around him and turned over the football. Things were getting ugly in that UMass game where he had the 2 interceptions, but he took advantage after the team got that big special teams play, and he was a surgeon on the field in that final drive, Harry.
Yeah, he sure was. And, he's got many options now when it comes to the passing game. I think everybody realized with Robbie Anderson coming back this year, that would be a big option that he didn't have last year. But then you got to go look at a guy like Brian DeLoach, even though he didn't do too much in that game last week. He also has been somebody he can look towards. And you've got Jennings. Adonis Jennings probably should have had 2 touchdowns in that game. He did get the 1. And he was open by, 10 yards on another throw. I think, if, PJ just kind of gunned it to over the shoulder instead of led him more to the post, it would have been an easy touchdown. And what can you say about John Christopher? My goodness. John Christopher is the go-to guy for PJ Walker. He was on that drive.
No doubt about that. He had 7 receptions for 72 yards in that game and had a big 12-yard reception down the stretch. And it just seems like, Harry, he's benefiting from those big wide receivers, like you mentioned, to open up some space in the middle of the field coming out of the slot.
Exactly. All the parts. They got the long ball, and I'd like to see them go a little more vertical at times. They did go long ball to Robbie. They also went long ball to Robbie where he kind of rope-a-dope the defensive back into a pass interference call, which I thought was perfect. Robbie knew that the ball was going to be thrown right in the vicinity where he and the defensive back were throwing. Robbie waited till the last minute to try to make a move on the ball. There was contact, and he got the call. But, everything comes into place, I think, this year with the throwing game. And I think, we're going to see maybe Temple take advantage of that in maybe next week against Charlotte. I don't know. But I think they're going to have to sooner or later, in order to loosen up everything on the offense, go a little bit more vertical. I thought they were a little too conservative at times in the second half when it looked like they were just trying to protect the lead a little bit. I would have liked to see them go maybe take a shot downfield a little more.
A big point of emphasis in the offseason was getting back that running identity for this football team. Jahad Thomas in the first 2 games, you could call him sensational, use any adjective in the book. He was awesome for the Temple Owls. On Saturday, he only had 25 carries for 66 yards and a touchdown. Why do you think Jahad Thomas wasn't able to get it going on Saturday?
Well, interestingly enough, I think Zach, coming off the field in the fourth quarter, 2 of the Temple players talked to Harry Mays, our sideline reporter, and said that this defensive line for UMass was as tough, if not tougher, than the 2 teams that they had played before. I think UMass got gassed a little bit out of Colorado. That's what kind of took them out of the game in their opener the week before at Boulder, simply because maybe the high altitude. I know Matt Rowe even told that to me before the game, that he thought this was a much better team than what the final score indicated against Colorado. So I think a lot of what happened in the running game last week against UMass, you got to give credit where credit's due, and that's the UMass's defensive scheme. They put 7 or 8 guys in the box, and Temple still tried to run the ball and was not that successful. And the other thing about Jahad is, it's 2 weeks in a row now where he's left the ball on the field in a situation where Temple can ice the victory. That's got to be something that they have to address.
Definitely an area of concern. You work with Paul Palmer on those broadcasts for 97.5 The Fanatic. Did Paul shed a little bit of light of how Jahad could protect that football a little bit better?
Well, it's an individual thing, and Paul says he's concerned about it as anybody. It's just something you got to do. And now, of course, every defense trying to, when you stand a guy up, they're trying to punch the ball free or rip it out. You gotta protect the football, and that's something that John's going to have to work on. The coaching staff is going to have to continually remind him, to wrap it up and protect it as much as they can, because when you get into a pile, a lot of crazy things happen.
The approach in the first 2 games of the year was, and I know it sounds a bit cliche, was to win the battle in the trenches on the offense, then establish that run game with Jahad Thomas, and then give P.J. Walker about 20 to 25 throws. And then in game number 3, they really did air out that football 48 times. I know when you go up against a team like UMass, you want to test some things out a little bit, but do you think we'll see more of the first 2 games or what we saw on Saturday with Temple throwing that football 48 times? Because, Harry, if it's up to me, I don't want to see P.J. throwing the football almost 50 times a game.
Yeah, I know. I guess that's going to depend on what the defense is given. At times, I thought they could have thrown the ball. Not that they didn't throw it a lot, 48 times, but I thought a lot of that stuff, and it looked like they abandoned some of the short stuff. I didn't see too many, for instance, of the bubble screens. The bubble screen, I think, is something that I'd love to see just thrown out of the playbook. We tried it early in the games against Penn State and Cincinnati using Robbie Anderson for negative yardage. And I think that's something that has to be reevaluated. PJ's got a very strong arm. As I said earlier, he's got a lot of options to go vertical. If we're going to throw the ball, let's be maybe more selective on how we can use it for more than just a 3 or 4 yard gain. That's what I'd like to see. The tight end, so far that hasn't surfaced. Jihad at times has been good out of the backfield catching the ball. But I don't know, to answer your question, are we going to see them put it up 40 times? I doubt it. But if they're going to throw a lot, I'd like to see them take more shots down the field.
Wrapping up with the play-by-play voice of the Temple Owls on 97.5 The Fanatic, Harry Donahue. 2 weeks ago when they went up against Cincinnati, Gunnar Kiel had 427 yards, but the Temple defense was able to force 5 turnovers. On Saturday, Blake Fernapple had 393 yards and did have that one interception. Week 1, they put 10 sacks on the quarterback. You know you're not going to get that production each and every week. Temple has a team goal of 40 sacks, but they didn't get enough pressure on Fernapple on Saturday. How does Temple in this bye week work on improving getting a rush on the quarterback? Because to me, that will eliminate some of these big passing plays.
Well, I think you have to get better to the offensive line. The protection was there, and that offensive line was a lot better than the offensive line we saw in the opener against Penn State. And also keep in mind, Cincinnati had 7 receivers that a lot of people think could take it to the next level. And we saw, I think, arguably one of the best receivers in the country in Sharp the other day for the University of Massachusetts. I mean, when you can't even compare. If you tried to compare Hackenberg to Kiel and what we saw from Fernapple the other day, there's no comparison. Those two were far better quarterbacks. Now, a lot of it had to do with the protection. A lot of it had to do with the receiving core. But once again, who would have thought, looking at the schedule, that Kiel and Donahue will be so far advanced compared to Christian Hackenberg, at least in how they played them.
You just can't make that stuff up, and this is forming into a special season for the Temple Owls. Obviously, you get the big start, getting that win for the first time in 74 years up against Penn State. Then you back it up with the win against Cincinnati, and that was a rigorous UMass team that they played on Saturday. But, Harry, you know this. Temple teams of the past, they don't find a way to win that football game. What makes this team different this year that they were able to get it done on Saturday from teams to the past?
I think it's just you have 6 or 7 seniors on both sides of the ball that just are not in a position to let games get away. And whether it's a guy like Tyler Matakevich or whether it's Kyle Friend on the offense, I mean, you can draw on a lot of experience now. Matt Ioannidis, I mean, these are guys that have played better than 30 games in a college career. They know in the last 2 minutes of the game that they got to step it up. And now you got, somebody, John Christopher, is a kid that's been around for a long time. And with PJ, I think, getting more comfortable with the passing game, they know what they got to do. That drive was a perfect 50-yard drive in a minute and 20 seconds. I mean, that's something we got to draw on and use maybe as a hurry-up earlier in the ball game, maybe. Maybe Morris now will look at this and say, hey, you know what? Forget about that running game and trying to, keep everything rather conservative. Let's go hurry up and let's try to move it down the field. I'm not saying you have to do it on every drive, obviously, but that was about as impressive a 50-yard, 1 minute, 20-second drive as any team could execute.
Last one for you, Harry. I could just hear the enthusiasm and the passion in your voice, and you should have that. You've been doing these games since 1984 for the Temple Owls. Have you ever been this excited about a Temple football program? Because you just seem really jacked up today. I'm loving it, Harry.
What a chance to be 5-6-0 going into one of the biggest games of the season. I mean, my goodness, if you can't get enthusiastic, and I know people, well, it's Temple. Yeah, it is Temple. But Temple's 3-0, and in a football town that really is very sour today because of what happened with the pro team, not just yesterday, but also last week. Come on, guys, turn the page in the Daily News and the Inquirer, get to the college section, and realize we got a team here that could. And I hate to put the cart before the horse. We got a long way to go before we get down to bowl selections and everything like that. But realistically, Zach, this is maybe a 2-loss or a 1-loss team. That's how I feel about it. And you know where that would put Temple? Possibly in the desert come New Year's Eve.
Oh, big words from Harry Donahue, and you're right. This is the best team in Philadelphia, and I know Chip Kelly was calling Matt Rule after Week 1 following the Penn State win. Maybe Coach Rule needs to give Chip Kelly a call and tell him how to not be so stubborn and run the ball out of the eye with DeMarco Murray.
I'm not even going to go there. Chip Kelly's got enough critics today. I'm going to lay off the green and the white and concentrate on the cherry and the white.
Harry Donahue, the play-by-play voice of the Temple Owls on 97.5 The Fanatic. We appreciate it, Harry, as always. Thanks so much.
Zach, you're the best.
Thanks so much. There's Harry Donahue. Phone went out there at the end of the interview. It's fine, but Harry always does a great job. And, man, you got to love the enthusiasm. I've had Harry on this show many times, and I guess he was driving somewhere because his phone, you could tell there's some ambient noises, but I'm sitting there, and I just have a big smile on my face because this is a guy that's been doing Temple football games since 1984. And he's so amped up, and you should be. The Temple Owls are 3-0. And guess what? They're going to beat Charlotte. They're going to beat Tulane. They're going to put a beat down on UCF. Then they'll back it up against ECU, and the Temple Owls, you've heard it here first, will be undefeated going into Notre Dame.